Jamaica's political future is at a crossroads, and the path we choose now could either lead to unprecedented progress or continued chaos. But what if there was a way to transform our leaders from self-serving politicians into true public servants? Can servant leadership be the key to save our nation? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're diving into the topic that might just save our sanity: servant leadership in politics. Yes, you heard that right. It's a thing, and it's desperately needed. But first, let's address the elephant in the room. Politics today is like watching a soap opera, but without the fun drama and cheesy plot twists. Instead, we get endless power struggles, self-serving agendas, and a bunch of folks who seem to have forgotten what public service actually means. It's a circus, and not the fun kind with cotton candy, popcorns, and clowns. So what's the solution? Enter servant leadership. Stage left. Welcome all Patriotic Jamaicans. The movement continues. Make we get into it now. Let's kick it off. Defining servant leadership. Now, picture this. Imagine a world where politicians actually cared about us, the people who voted them into power. Crazy, right? Well, that's the essence of servant leadership. It's a philosophy where leadership prioritizes the needs, well-being, and development of their followers above their own ambitions. These leaders focus on empowering others, fostering collaboration, and creating an atmosphere of inclusivity and trust. Sounds like a fairy tale, but it's possible. The current state of political parties. Let's be honest. Our current political parties are more like dysfunctional families than well-oiled machines. There's a growing disillusionment from the public because these parties often seemed driven by self-interest, corruption, and their thirst for power. This has led to a massive decline in public trust, voter apathy, and of course, polarization. Basically, everyone hates everyone, nothing gets done, and Jamaica and the people suffer. Fantastic. But what if our leaders adopted servant leadership? Here's what that would look like. 1. Putting people first. Instead of seeing us as mere votes to be won, servant leaders would actually listen to our concerns. Imagine that. They'd engage in genuine dialogue and work passionately to improve our lives. It's like they'd treat us as actual human beings with needs and aspirations. Shocking, I know, right? 2. Fostering collaboration. In today's political scene, collaboration is as rare as a unicorn sighting. But servant leaders would encourage cooperation across party lines, value diverse perspectives, and see consensus building. They'd foster an inclusive and constructive political environment. Think less Game of Thrones and more Parks and Recreation. 3. Empowering others. Servant leaders would strive to empower individuals and communities. They recognize and nurture potential in others, ensure equal access to opportunities, and actively promote diversity. By involving citizens in decision-making processes, they'd cultivate a sense of ownership and civic engagement. Because, hey, why not let the people have a say in their own future? 4. Ethical decision-making. Finally, servant leaders would operate under a strong moral compass, upholding integrity, transparency, and accountability. They'd prioritize ethical decision-making over short-term gains, acting in the best interest of the public. Basically, they would do their jobs properly. Revolutionary. The way forward. So how do we make this utopian dream a reality? Here's a few steps. 1. Emphasizing leadership development. Political parties should prioritize leadership development programs that cultivate servant leadership qualities. Training future politicians in empathy, active listening, and collaboration skills will foster a generation truly committed to public service. 2. Encouraging grassroots engagement. Political parties can initiate community-based programs that encourage direct engagement with constituents. By nurturing relationships at the grassroots level, they can reconnect with the people they aim to serve. It's called doing your job. 3. Promoting accountable governance. Parties must exemplify accountable governance within their structures by holding their leaders to high ethical standards and ensuring transparency in decision making. They can restore public faith. Simple but effective. As public disillusionment with traditional politics grows, revitalizing political parties through servant leadership holds immense promise. By embracing a leadership model that prioritizes people, collaboration, empowerment, and ethical decision-making, political parties can redefine themselves as true agents of positive change. Positive change. So the next time you're at the ballot box, remember to support servant leaders who actually give a damn about us. Let's work towards a future where political parties embody servant leadership, ushering in a new era of inclusive and effective governance. Let's talk about the dark side. Poor governance from political leaders who do not practice servant leadership. These are self-serving, corrupt leaders who have turned our political landscape into a dystopian nightmare. So grab your popcorns and stay tuned because we're about to uncover the grim reality. Have you ever wondered why it feels like our political system is one big dumpster fire at Riverton? Well, it's because many of our leaders are more interested in serving themselves than serving the public. This self-serving attitude leads to a host of negative effects that impact us all. Let's break it down. 1. Decline in public trust. When leaders are corrupt and self-serving, it erodes public trust. People lose faith in the system and in those who are supposed to represent them. This isn't just a minor inconvenience, it's a crisis. Trust is the foundation of any functional society. Without it, we are left with a fractured community where everyone's looking out for themselves. 2. Increased corruption. Self-serving leaders tend to engage in corrupt practices. They use their positions to enrich themselves, often at the expense of public resources. This leads to a lack of transparency and accountability, making it easy for corruption to flourish. The result? A government that operates more like a criminal enterprise than a public service. 3. Public services. When leaders are focused on their own gain, public services suffer. Infrastructure crumbles, education systems fail, and healthcare becomes a nightmare. These leaders aren't interested in improving our quality of life. They are too busy lining their pockets. Now, let's dive even more deeper into the consequences of poor governance. 4. Widespread inequality. Corrupt leaders often favor policies that benefit the wealthy and powerful, widening the gap between the rich and the poor. This leads to social and economic inequality, where the disadvantaged are left with fewer opportunities and resources. The rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Sounds fair, right? 5. Voter apathy. When people see their leaders acting in self-interest, they become disillusioned with the political process. This leads to voter apathy, where citizens feel that their votes don't matter. Lower voter turnout means less representation and more power for the corrupt elites. It's a vicious cycle that's hard to break. 6. Political polarization. Poor governance fuels political polarization. When leaders are only looking out for themselves, they stoke division and conflict to maintain their power. This results in a deeply divided society where cooperation and compromise are nearly impossible. It's like living in a constant state of civil war, but with more paperwork. So what can we do about it? The answer is servant leadership. By embracing leaders who prioritize the needs of the people over their own ambitions, we can reverse these negative trends. Here's how. 1. Demand transparency. Hold leaders accountable by demanding transparency in their actions and decisions. An informed public is a powerful public. Let me read that again. An informed public is a powerful public. 2. Support ethical leaders. Vote for leaders who demonstrate integrity, empathy, and a commitment to public service. These are the qualities of servant leaders. 3. Get involved. Engage in the political process at all levels, whether it's local, state, or national. Your participation matters. Grassroots movements can drive significant change. By understanding the catastrophic effects of poor governance, we can make informed choices that leads to a better future. Let's work towards a political system where leaders serve the people and not themselves. Here are some common questions people might have regarding poor governance and the benefits of servant leadership, along with answers to address these concerns. 1. Why do I feel like my vote doesn't matter anymore? Answer. Many people feel this way because of the widespread corruption and self-serving nature of current political leaders. When leaders are more focused on their own interests than on serving the public, it can lead to disillusionment and voter apathy. By supporting and voting for servant leaders who prioritize transparency, accountability, and the needs of their constituents, you can help bring about change and restore faith in the democratic process. 2. How does poor governance affect my daily life? Answer. Poor governance impacts your daily life in numerous ways. It can lead to inadequate public services such as poor infrastructure, failing education systems, and subpar healthcare. Corrupt leaders divert resources meant for public welfare to their own pockets, resulting in lower quality of life for everyone. Embracing servant leadership can ensure that public resources are used effectively and for the benefit of all citizens. 3. Why is there such a gap between the rich and the poor? Answer. The gap between the rich and the poor often widens under self-serving leadership. Because policies tend to favor the wealthy and powerful, this leads to increased inequality and fewer opportunities for those who are less fortunate. Servant leaders, on the other hand, strive to create equitable policies that benefit everyone, ensuring a more balanced distribution of wealth and opportunities. 4. What can I do to hold leaders accountable? Answer. You can hold leaders accountable by demanding transparency in their actions and decisions. Engage in civic activities, participate in local government meetings, and use your voice on social media to raise awareness. Support and vote for candidates who demonstrate servant leadership qualities, such as integrity, empathy, and a genuine commitment to public service. 5. How can we reduce political polarization? Answer. Political polarization is often exacerbated by leaders who thrive on division and conflict. To reduce polarization, we need leaders who foster collaboration, encourage dialogue, and work towards consensus building. Servant leaders prioritize the greater good over partisan interests and aim to create inclusive and constructive political environments. 6. Why are public services so poor in my area? Answer. Public services suffer when leaders are more interested in their own gain than in serving the community. This can result in mismanagement of resources, corruption, and a lack of investment in essential services. By electing servant leaders who prioritize the well-being of their constituents, you can help ensure that public services are managed effectively and meet the needs of the community. 7. What steps can I take to improve governance in my community? Answer: to improve governance in your community, start by getting involved in local politics. Attend town hall meetings, join community groups, and participate in grassroots movement. Advocate for servant leadership by supporting and voting for candidates who demonstrates commitment to public service, ethical decision making, and community empowerment. 8. How can I tell if a leader is truly practicing servant leadership? Answer: a true servant leader will demonstrate qualities such as empathy, integrity, transparency, and a genuine commitment to serving others. They will actively listen to their constituents, foster collaboration, and prioritize the needs of the community over their own ambitions. Look for leaders who engage in ethical decision making and promote inclusivity and trust. 9. What are the long-term benefits of servant leadership in politics? Answer: the long-term benefits of servant leadership in politics include increased public trust, better quality of public services, reduced corruption, and a more engaged and empowered citizenry. Servant leaders create policies that benefits everyone, promote social and economic equality, and foster a more collaborative and inclusive political environment. This leads to sustainable development and a higher quality of life for all citizens. By addressing these questions and understanding the importance of servant leadership, we can work towards a more equitable, transparent, and effective political system that truly serves the needs of the people. And if you thought this was eye-opening, wait till you check out my next video: Democracy versus Demagoguery. Jamaica, is our voting system flawed? The hidden dangers of uninformed voting. Click here to watch it now. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you don't miss out on any future content. Until next time, stay informed and stay engaged.